Good morning, everyone in YouTube land. I wanted to make a quick, short video this morning about an Instagram post that I had. It's actually been kind of sitting on my mind since I created the Instagram post, and I wanted to kind of elaborate on it. And so the post I did was on courage, and you'll see on the Instagram photo, you'll see a picture of a lion, and then underneath that I discuss a major incident of me actually trying to ride a motorcycle and then having an epic fail. And so I just wanted to inspire people when things don't go quite your way or things go bad, and how do we pick ourselves up and move on. And so with that being said, I want to just jump into that story. And so for those who know me, I've been riding a motorcycle going on 9 years now, and I never really had a taste of riding motorcycles until I had a brother come out from California, or he came out to California from Illinois, and he's been a Harley rider for quite some time, and we got to talking quite a bit just around motorcycles and riding. And he was watching the show Sons of Anarchy. I think at that time they were in their second season, and he showed me a show or two. He pulled it up on Hulu, I think it was, and watched a couple episodes, and then we just intensified the conversation around riding motorcycles and stuff, and that kind of started a curiosity around it. And then I did a paper at school about I think it was like bioenergy or saving fuel in the environment. And I actually did a paper and research around how motorcycles are actually good for the environment. And after reading that paper and just kind of ruminating on my brother's conversation, I started thinking about riding a motorcycle. So long story short, after a lot of investigation and a lot of looking around and just a lot of thinking about it, I wound up buying this little 200 cc motorcycle. If you've listened to any of my videos, you've heard me talk about it. It's called the Kicker 5150. And so I started on that. I had a guy build it for me, and then I didn't take any kind of safety course or anything, which I highly recommend people take the motorcycle safety course. But at that time I didn't take it. I didn't have any training. I just had a lot of an arrogance about, oh, I know how to ride, 1 down, 5 up, I know where the clutch and the brakes are, and I know how to balance a bike because I knew how to ride a bicycle. Just went in with a lot of arrogance, and the bike was really small, so I'm like, oh, this would be cakewalk. So I take the bike out for the very first time with absolutely no experience and no training, and this little bike had some kick in it. And when I took off, everything that I thought I knew or could remember absolutely froze. I absolutely froze behind it. And I remember taking off and kind of sliding back on my seat. And when I slid back on my seat, I pulled back the throttle and I gave it even more gas, and I started taking off, and I just could not think about how to stop the bike, what to do, how to turn, and I slammed into my neighbor's parked car about 100 feet away. And I flew over the handlebars, and you can see the pick of the motorcycle, that the handlebars, they were 16-inch handlebars. They were pretty tall, and I actually my body flew over it. Luckily I had my helmet on. My helmet went through my neighbor's driver's side window, and I remember going over the bike, my head through the guy's window and looking through his car with a bunch of loose change on his seat, and thinking to myself, what did I just do? And it was just one of those scenarios where I was in a daze and I was confused, and it was like time stopped. I completely remember that. And so anyway, my neighbor, who I never even met at that time. I only just kind of said hello to him. He came running out in his boxer shorts and sandals, and he heard the accident, came out, asked me if I was okay, and checked in on me. And then he helped me get my bike back to the driveway, and I talked to the neighbor about the damage I did. And I didn't have any kind of license, I didn't have any insurance. Luckily the guy was nice enough. Got some estimates on the damage I did to his car. I paid for it. And then I just had this broken mess of a motorcycle sitting in my driveway. And I didn't break anything, I didn't seriously hurt myself other than my ego. But it took me a few days to heal. I had a lot of bruising and swelling. And then once I had the strength, I went out to the garage where my bike was parked. And it was a complete oily mess. Gas everywhere, oil everywhere. And it was bent up from the forks, from the front wheel, all the way to handlebars, carburetor. It was just a leaky mess. So I'm sitting there thinking about, well, I'm gonna have to take this thing out, salvage it. My riding career is over. And then my neighbor comes over. He saw that my garage door was up. His name is Greg, and he goes by Dirty G. And Dirty G, he comes over and he's like, "Hey, what's the damage?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, but it looks pretty bad." He goes, "What you planning on doing?" And I said, "I'm planning on looking for a salvage yard." And he just started telling me, he's like, "No, dude, you can't just go down once and not get back up and go again." And he got to talking to me, and he's like, "Look, man, I'll help you." He goes, "I'm a biker. I don't have a bike. I'm a biker without a bike. And I'll help you break this thing down, build it back up. And all I ask you is just to help me pay for the, you pay for the parts, and that's it. But you just gotta let me teach you how to ride." So I went ahead and agreed to it, and so that's how it started. So that summer we took the bike and we broke it down in his garage next to my house, and we broke it down all the way down to its frame. And at that time I knew nothing, and I still know very little about motorcycles, but he showed me quite a bit just around motorcycle operation and you just basics that you should know. And so yeah, we spent the entire summer. We got that thing back up and running. I should actually say Dirty G got that thing back up and running. And then it was go time. And the agreement was that he was going to teach me how to ride. So once we got that thing back up and running, he took me out to an empty parking lot. And when we went out to the empty parking lot, I was so scared. I was kind of going through all those memories of the accident and everything, and I was just not wanting to do it. But he pushed me, he urged me, he encouraged me, and he gave me the pep talk that I needed to actually go ahead and get back on that thing, even though I had so much nerves. So during that time, he wound up getting a motorcycle of his own, and then he started taking me out riding. And I was definitely afraid of riding at that time. And I remember the very first day, because I was just kind of putting around the neighborhood, and he would watch me. But then he got his own bike, and he's like, "Nope." He goes, "We're actually gonna actually get out there in the city. We lived in Sacramento. We're gonna ride around on the back roads and get some real riding in." And so I remember the very first time that we had to do that, we get out to the first light outside my neighborhood, and that's where the real traffic is. And I remember being at that light and waiting for that thing to turn green. And he looked over at me as it's turning yellow, and he looked at me, he said, "Are you ready?" And I remember I almost told him, "No, I want to go back home." My heart was racing, chest was pounding, hands are sweaty, and I did not want to do it. And that light turned green, and he took off, and I took off behind him, and it was all good after that, man. It was just an amazing experience, and amazing to just kind of put all the training that I had together, and it all came together during that ride. I remember everything just started clicking. You know, I made some little mistakes, you know. Riding that day, we took an entire day of 3 or 4 hours of just hitting some of the back roads, and but you know, Greg was patient with me, and we had a phenomenal day. And then I remember after that, I just had that confidence that I needed, and he'd take me out about once a week, maybe twice a week if he had the time, and he kind of built me up. I was really lagging along. I remember you know, being anywhere from 25 to 50 feet away from him, and he'd always turn around and kind of urge me to get up to him. So I started riding up behind him, and then one ride I remember he said, you know what, we are going to go outlaw style. And I said, what is that? And he goes, well, it's wheel to wheel. And so he got me doing that, and that actually built up a lot of confidence, because he had a lot of confidence in me where I didn't necessarily have it in myself. And once we started riding next to each other, that kind of solidified my skills and his faith in me. So yeah, going through that experience, that was probably one of the scariest things I've ever had to do, was wrecking the motorcycle, but then actually getting back on it. Because as a mental health therapist, I talk about trauma all the time. I talk about experiencing trauma, and I talk about trying to get past it, you know, because kind of dealing with the memories of a major negative event that might have happened to you. And so as I'm tooling around, you know, I'm actually trying to finish up this video, and I'm just going to end it with, a lot of bad things are going to happen to us as we go through life, and we just, if there's something we're passionate about or something that we have to do, we have to build our courage up and move forward. We have to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and try to do the best we can. And I was extremely passionate about riding this motorcycle, and it was something I really, really wanted to do. But also too, it's kind of something innate in me where I don't like to be told that I can't do something. And so that was another thing that kind of motivated myself to give me that inner drive that I needed, because I didn't want to be told by myself that I can't ride this thing. There was actually a mental game I was kind of playing with myself. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. I want to talk about courage of doing something that is extremely terrifying or very scary, and doing it anyway. Now, with that being said, I want you to have courage, but also too want you to think smartly. You know, yeah, riding a motorcycle is an extremely dangerous thing to do. I understand that, but you take precautions. And so my precautions that I took, I wore my helmet, I wore my leather, I wore boots. You know, so they are precautions that you take to keep yourself safe. So I just wanted to talk about the Instagram page and post that I made, and just talk a little bit about that, expand it. I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Dirty G, who without him I would not be riding today. So thank you, Greg, and thank you for listening to me this morning. Please be kind to yourself, because you deserve it.